loop and down to your left. Next, bring the wide end around behind the narrow end to your right. Bring the wide end up from the front and through the loop coming back down on your right. Then bring the wide end to the left across the narrow end. Turn and pass the wide end up through the loop and complete by slipping the tie down through the knot in front, tighten, and draw up comfortably to the collar.
Most standard neckties come in lengths from 58 to 60 inches. Taller men, or those of you who choose to wear a Windsor knot, which requires the most length of material, will require a somewhat longer tie. Now, let's step through the Windsor once more, slowly. Take the wide end over the narrow end, and up and around the narrow end on the left, crossing underneath. Bring the wide end up and towards you, down through the loop between your neck and the knot on the right. This forms the V. Now, bring the broad end from the right across the front of the knot to the left, and bring the knot up between your neck and the knot. Tuck it down through the loop in the front of the knot, shape and form, and draw it up. There you have a full Windsor. When properly tied, it should have a nice clean dimple like this.
Bow ties. Though you'll occasionally see them worn by the college professor or stock market analyst, bow ties are usually worn at formal engagements with a pleated front shirt. They make a unique fashion statement, and depending upon the setting, they give a man a suave or intellectually professional look.
The general rule of thumb is that the bow tie should never be broader than the widest part of the neck and should not extend beyond the outside points of the collar.
Start with the end in your left hand, 1.5 inches below that in your right hand. Cross the longer end over the shorter end and pass up through the loop. It's important to make sure the tie is snug against your collar at this point. Form the front loop of the bow by doubling up the right side and placing it across the collar points. Hold this front loop with the thumb and forefinger of your left hand. Drop the long end down over the front. Using your forefinger, push the hanging end of the tie up behind the loop in front and poke the resulting loop through the knot behind the front loop as shown. Even the ends and tighten.
It's really not as complicated as it looks. Here, let me show you. Begin with the left side, 1.5 inches longer than the right side. Cross the long side over the short and up underneath. Now, here's a little trick. Tighten at the neck and be sure to even up the two ends. Now, draw the lower portion up and double it over on itself. Now sweep the top end over the front and then poke in from behind. Draw it through. Turn down your collar. And there you have it. A classic statement for your next presentation or formal engagement.
Now for our final demonstration, a new style that's finding wide popularity, the Shelby. Start with the tie inside out. Cross the wide end under the narrow end. Bring it up, then over and down through the loop to your right. Sweep the wide end across the V from your right to your left. Then take the wide end up and through the loop between your neck and the knot. Now bring it back down through the knot and tighten.
As you may have noticed, the steps involved in tying the Shelby are definitely different, particularly step 1. Begin with the tie inside out. Cross the broad end of the tie under the narrow end and draw the wide end up towards you and down between your neck and the knot. Sweep the broad end to the right. Now pass the broad end across the front of the tie from right to left. Bring the wide end up between your neck and the knot and down through the loop in the front. Draw your material down, shaping. Drop your knot to the collar. Lower your collar. And there you have the most recent addition to the classic collection of knots, the Shelby. See how nicely it dimples?
So far, we've covered the 4-in-hand, the half Windsor, the Windsor, the bow tie, and the Shelby.
Now, every time you tie one of these knots, you'll inevitably need to remove the tie. So here's one final trick you may not be aware of, and this works with all the knots we've shown you with the exception of the bow tie. Simply grab the skinny portion above the knot and pull the material through. Then, if you properly knotted the tie, pull the two ends apart and the knot should remove itself.
Every day, we're judged by how we present ourselves. The tie you select says a lot about you. It's an excellent way for you to express your imagination, artistic flair, and personality. Master just 2 or 3 of the special knots presented here, and you'll not only stand out as someone who takes pride in their appearance, but as someone who takes their career seriously as well.
And if you're not a business professional, don't limit yourself to just tying these knots for weddings and graduations. In recent years, there's been a casual dress renaissance, which has brought about the newborn luxury jeans look. Jeans, together with the classic style jacket. And when accessorized with a tie, the result is perfect for those casual office Fridays, an evening out, or any other event that requires that in-between look, somewhere in between casual and dress. So, whether you wear a tie daily, or whether this is the first time you've ever tied a tie, we hope the information presented here will help you look your best. Until next time, thanks for watching Ties to Success.